Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalam ala Imam al-Anbiya wal Mursaleen Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma arna al-haqqa haqqan wa razaqna tiba'ah wa arna al-batila batilan wa razaqna shanama. Brilliant brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to this, another of our sit-ins. Today we shall be starting our series, Jokers in the Pact. Now, who are the jokers in the pact? Why was this topic chosen? Some people don't understand what we meant. What is meant from the word jokers in the pact. When you were kids and your fathers buy you a pack of cards, a deck of cards, you have the jack, you have the queen, the king, you have the diamonds, and you have 3 jokers in the pack. Normally you dump the jokers in the trash can, in the dustbin. We don't play with jokers. So these people who we are going to refute, they are jokers in the pact. They are a waste of space. They are fake Muslims and they are a waste of space. This is where we get the topic from, jokers in the pact. It was advertised on Facebook, so I'm sure that many people are aware of this series to begin. Now, why did we choose the Khawarij to begin with? The reason for that is because they were the first sect in the Ummah. There are no sect in Islam. We say there are sects or groups among the Ummah. Islam is pure, but the Muslims are not pure, unfortunately. So they were the first group to emerge in the Ummah. What is the history behind them? One day Ali sent some gold to the Prophet. Ali was in Yemen, and after a battle he sent some gold to the Prophet, the booty. And the Prophet was distributing the booty. But the Prophet gave the booty to people who were new Muslims. So he thought the Prophet wasn't fair in his distribution of the booty. So he said, Muhammad, fear Allah! He shouted out, Muhammad, fear Allah! And he said, be just because you are not just. In other words, how can you give the gold to new Muslims and people who have been in your company for many years, you don't give them the booty? Why the new Muslims? The Prophet explained why he did it. He was softening the hearts of the new reverts. You have been in Islam for many years, so your heart is strong, your Iman is strong. These people, they are new reverts and they need more pampering than the average Muslim. They need more pampering because they are new reverts. So this is the hikmah why the Prophet gave the booty to the new reverts. The man thought the Prophet was not being just, so he shouted out, Muhammad, fear Allah, you're not being just. And the Prophet said, you should fear Allah. Allah trusts me to make me his Rasul and to be in charge of his creation. The Creator trusts me to be in charge of his creation, and you don't trust me. Khalid ibn Walid was present, and Khalid said, O Messenger of Allah, give me the permission to cut off his head. So Khalid ibn Walid demanded the permission from the Prophet, let me cut off his head. The Prophet said, maybe he prayed. Now, this man, his name is Dhul Khuwaisira. He had small eyes and his forehead was protruding, bulging forehead. And his cheeks were protruding. His beard was long and his head was completely bald. Dhul Khuwaisira. Yes, that's the name of the man. When he got up and left, he turned his back to the Prophet and left. The Prophet said, from his lineage, from his bloodline, a people will come, they will recite the Quran, but it will not pass their throats. And they will come out of Islam the way the arrow comes out of its kill, its target. When you see them praying, you'll envy them, you think you're not praying properly. When you see them fasting, you think you're not fasting properly. When you hear them recite the Quran, you think you are not reciting the Quran properly. But they will come out of Islam. When they recite the Quran, it won't pass their throats, meaning it will not enter their hearts. That's the meaning of the Hadith. And they will come out of Islam the way the arrow comes out of its kill. The Prophet said, if you live and you see them, kill them the way Allah killed the people of Ad. The way Allah totally obliterate the people of Ad, you should kill them like that. Now, this man, from his progeny came the Khawarij, because his children and grandchildren, they were the same people who fought Ali ibn Abi Talib. The Prophet said in the Hadith, they will kill the Muslims and they will leave alone the Mushrikeen. That will be the most important characteristic of a Khawarij. They will kill the Muslims and leave alone the Mushrikeen. So, this is the most important characteristic of a Khawarij told to us by the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, the Khawarij of today that are living in our midst today, you'll find that they are friendly with the kuffar, whether it's a white kafir or a black kafir. They're very merciful and compassionate to the kuffar, yet they hate Muslims, they spy on the Muslims, they make takfir on Muslims, they go to the Scotland Yard, the MI5, the CIA, and they spy on the Muslims and make sure that Belmarsh is packed with Muslims. They're very, very friendly with the kuffar, and they spy for the kuffar. And they label the Muslims by names, offensive names, and they write books against the Muslims. If you are a sincere believer, they will write books against you and call you a terrorist, the most derogatory names. So the Khawarij of today, they have the exact same characteristic the Prophet spoke about. They will be friendly towards the kuffar, yet they will hate the Muslims. And I don't need to tell you who are the Khawarij of today, because you all know who are the Khawarij of today. Now, they were the first sect in Islam. What is the definition of a Khawarij? What is the definition? Khawarij is the plural of Khariji. Khariji is from the word kharaja, which means to break away, to come out. Khawarij is the plural of Khariji. A Khariji is a person who broke away, from the word kharaja, which means to come out. So those who broke away from the camp of Ali and set up their own camp, they were called the Khawarij. Now, why did they break away from the camp of Ali? What is the story behind it? And yes, those who broke away. The literal definition is those who broke away. The technical definition is anyone who picks up arms against a legitimate Muslim ruler who governs with Sharia. Anyone who picks up arms against a legitimate Muslim ruler who governs with the Sharia. Then you become a Khawarij. Now, many of you asked the question. In the time of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, there was a caliph called Ma'mun. And Ma'mun was a Mu'tazilite who believed that the Quran was created. Yet, Ahmad ibn Hanbal did not make takfir on Ma'mun and led an army against him. Why did they break away from the camp of Ali? Yes. Technical definition: anyone who picks up arms against a legitimate Muslim ruler who governs with Sharia. Yes, that is the proper definition of a Khawarij. So many of you ask the question, why didn't Ahmad ibn Hanbal pick up arms against Ma'mun, the Abbasid Caliph? Because he said the Quran was created. The answer to the question is Ma'mun governed with the Sharia and he did jihad. So we say his dodgy aqidah is between him and the law. We will obey him in regards to the Sharia, but we won't obey him in regards to aqidah. His dodgy aqidah is between him and Allah, but we will not take up weapons against him because he governed with the Sharia. So this is the answer to your question. Why didn't Ahmad ibn Hanbal take up weapons against Ma'mun, the Abbasid Caliph, who believed the Quran was created? Ma'mun, yes, Ma'mun, that's the name of the Caliph who believed the Quran was created. Ahmad ibn Hanbal refused to fight him and make takfir on him because he governed with the Sharia. So we say to him, if you command us to go for jihad against the kuffar, we will obey you. We will obey you in regards to the Sharia that you have implemented. But as for your aqidah, that the Quran was created, your dodgy aqidah, your erroneous aqidah is between you and Allah. So this is the answer to your question that you ask every day, why didn't Ahmad ibn Hanbal fight Ma'mun? Now, there are some scholars who believe that you can topple a leader who is an oppressor, a tyrant, even though he might govern with the Sharia. If he has a weakness for being an oppressor, you're allowed to topple him. And they quoted the ayah, Baqarah 124, La yanal ahdi al-zalimin. Can you topple a leader who is an oppressor if he governs with the Sharia? Those who claim that you can topple the tyrant even though he might implement the Sharia, they quoted Baqarah 124, where Allah said, no one will inherit leadership except those who are just. The Zalimin, those who are tyrannical, are not allowed to inherit the mantle of leadership. The correct opinion is that you are not allowed to topple the leader until you see clear kufr, because of the hadith found in Bukhari, in which the Prophet spoke about leaders who will come after you, who will be tyrannical. And they said, should we fight them? The Prophet said, topple the leader if you see clear kufr. And please bring me the hadith found in Bukhari. The correct opinion is that you should topple the leader if you see clear kufr. My covenant includes not the Zalimun. This covenant is talking about leadership. So this is the ayah quoted by the scholars to say you can topple the tyrannical ruler, because Allah said this covenant does not include the tyrants. The Prophet said, topple the leader if you see clear kufr. Yes, Bukhari, volume 9, page 146. So the correct opinion is that you should topple the leader if you see clear kufr. Clear kufr is when they join the UN. To join the UN is clear kufr. Because Allah told you in the Quran that when you join the UN, you become a kafir. And the evidence that it is haram to join the UN is Surah Muhammad, Surah 47, verse 25 to 26. Clear kufr is when you go to their country and you see riba banks. That is clear kufr. Because when they sign papers allowing people to set up riba banks, interest banks, to rip off people, that is clear kufr. Clear kufr is when you see casino in the country. Because when they allow casino in the country, that is clear kufr. Clear kufr is when they allow pubs and discos in the country. So if a Muslim ruler should drink alcohol, he is not a kafir. But when he signs papers allowing you to have pubs in the country, to set up pubs, then he becomes a kafir because he has now legitimized alcohol. If a Muslim ruler should go to Europe and gamble in a casino, he is not a kafir. But if he should allow casino to be opened up in Saudi Arabia or in Pakistan, if he allows casinos to be opened up in his country, then he becomes a kafir because he has now legitimized gambling. So that is the difference. If a Muslim ruler should commit zina, he is not a kafir. But if he should sign papers allowing brothels to be opened up in the country, he allows brothels to be opened up, then he becomes a kafir because he legitimized zina. And I hope the difference is clear. Now, the question is, why did the $1,000,000 question, why did they break away from Ali's camp and turn against Ali and made Takfir on Ali? They broke away from Ali's camp because when Uthman was killed, Ali became the caliph. And Muawiyah was the cousin of Uthman, demanded that the killers of Uthman should be brought to justice. And Aisha took the same view. The killers of Uthman should be brought to justice. Ali said that in order for me to bring the killers to justice, the matter has to be thoroughly investigated. Because people jumped through the window of Uthman and stabbed him. When Ali tried to investigate the matter, he came up against a wall of silence. Nobody was willing to talk who did the stabbing. So Ali couldn't really take revenge for those who killed Uthman. Now, it is worthy of mentioning that when Uthman was stabbed, his wife tried to defend him and they cut off some of her fingers. He was reciting the Holy Quran, and when they stabbed him, his blood fell on a verse of Surah Baqarah, Baqarah 137. فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمُ اللَّهُ. Allah is sufficient for you to take revenge against them. فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمُ اللَّهُ. Baqarah 137. And don't bring me all the ayah, I just want the piece that I just quoted. Allah is sufficient for you to take revenge against them. Those who jumped through the window of Uthman to stab him, one by one they were killed by the sword. One of them, they caught him in Egypt. What did they do to him? They killed a donkey, then they killed him. They scrape out the inside of the donkey and stuff him inside the donkey and burnt the donkey and burnt him as well. One by one they were all killed. Where is the ayah? Baqarah 137. فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمُ اللَّهُ. So Allah will suffice you against them. Yes, this is the ayah. His blood spilled on this ayah as soon as they stabbed him. Those who stabbed Uthman, one by one, those who jumped through his window, one by one, they died by the sword. Now, when Uthman was killed, Muawiyah was in Syria, and he was the governor of Syria, and he ruled Syria for 20 long years, and he enjoyed a certain amount of independence. Now, he managed to take the blood which was on the shirt of Uthman, took it back to Syria, and rallied the people of Syria to take revenge for the blood of Uthman, and rallied the people of Syria against Ali, and said Ali is not taking revenge for the blood of Uthman, and I am the cousin of Uthman, therefore it is my duty to take revenge. When he rallied the people against Ali, Ali asked him to step down as governor. He said, "Who are you to tell me to step down? Who are you to tell me to step down as governor? I don't even accept you as a caliph. How can you tell me to step down? I don't even see you as the caliph. Did I give you my bay'ah? You, Ali, did I give you my bay'ah? I did not. I don't see you as the caliph. So how can you tell me to step down? I will never step down." So Ali said, "If you don't step down, I'm going to bring you down by force." And he also asked an ally of Muawiyah to step down, Amr ibn al-As, who was the governor of Egypt. So the two armies met face to face at the Battle of Siffin. And Ali's army was beating the army of Muawiyah. And a large bulk of Ali's army came from the bloodline of Dhul Khawaisra. The same man who said, "Muhammad, fear Allah, because you are not being just. You are not allocating the booty properly." Army was beating Muawiyah. Now, what Muawiyah said was to his soldiers, "Put the Quran on spears. Put the Quran on spears." So when the army of Muawiyah held up the Quran, the men in the camp of Ali said, we're not going to fight. Ali said, continue fighting. It's just a trick of Muawiyah. It's only a trick of Muawiyah. Continue fighting. And what created an element of doubt in the ranks of Muawiyah is that a very famous Sahaba was fighting for Ali against Muawiyah, Ammar ibn Yasir. And he was 70 years old. And he was fighting with Ali against Muawiyah, Ammar ibn Yasir. The Prophet said to Ammar ibn Yasir, you will be killed by the rebellious group. At the Battle of the Ditch, they gave him some dirt to go and throw away. He said, this is too heavy. I can't carry this. Are you trying to kill me? The Prophet heard when he said it. He said, no, they won't kill you. You will be killed by the rebellious group. You will be killed by the rebellious group. So Ammar ibn Yasir was fighting for Ali. He died. So the soldiers of Muawiyah said, I think we were wrong to fight Ali. We are in the wrong. Because look, we killed Ammar ibn Yasir. And the Prophet said at the Battle of the Ditch, he will be killed by the rebellious group. So we were wrong to rebel against a legitimate caliph. I think we're in the wrong. Muawiyah said, continue fighting. You don't understand the Hadith? It's Ali who killed him, not us. Because Ali was the one who convinced him to come and partake in the war. Can you understand? Do you understand how Muawiyah interpreted the Hadith? Muawiyah put a spin on the Hadith. Continue to fight. We are not the rebellious group. Ali is the rebellious group. Because Ali convinced him to come and partake in this battle. So, since it was Ali who convinced him to come and partake in the battle, it was Ali who killed him, not us. So, Ali is the rebellious group. So, Muawiyah put a spin on the Hadith because he didn't want the morale of his men to go down. When they put the Quran and spears, the war came to a stalemate because the soldiers of Ali refused to fight. They said, we are not prepared to fight a people who are holding up the book of Allah. So he said, command your generals to stop the war. The war came to a stalemate. Then Ali and Muawiyah agreed to put up their caliphate for arbitration. So Muawiyah had a right-hand man and Ali had a right-hand man. The right-hand man of Ali was Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari was the right-hand man of Ali to speak for Ali as his arbitrator. He played with the book of Allah in order to deceive the naive people. As a result of this trick, Al-Khawarij, those who believe Imam Ali is polytheist and unbeliever, emerged in the history of Islam. Okay, shukran. And the evidence you brought is from a very, very important book, Ibn Sa'd, one of the leading scholars of history. Ibn Sa'd, that evidence you brought, it is Sunni evidence, not Shiite. And it's one of the leading scholars of history. Mu'allaqat Ibn Sa'd. They agreed to put up their caliphate for arbitration. And during the arbitration, the right-hand man of Ali was Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, and the right-hand man, the spokesman for Muawiyah, was Amr ibn al-As. Amr ibn al-As was from the city. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari was from the village. So the man from the city was clever with words, more clever than the person from the village. So he was outfoxed and outmaneuvered during the arbitration. The Khawarij, they broke away because they said Ali did wrong to put up his caliphate for arbitration. How dare you negotiate with the rebellious group? That's what they said to Ali. How dare you agree to negotiate with Muawiyah and he belonged to the rebellious group? Then they said that Ali was wrong to use men to arbitrate because Allah is the only judge. The Khawarij went on a rampage after they broke away. They went on a rampage and they started to kill Muslims. They set up checkpoints. And if you are traveling, they stop you and ask you, what is your aqidah? They ask you a couple of questions. And if you did not answer according to what they believe, they will chop off your head. I hope everything I said has been written. Okay, yes. I was saying the Khawarij, they set up checkpoints. They went on a rampage killing Muslims. And Ali moved against them when he was told that they start to kill Sahabas. When they broke away from Ali, he didn't move against them. He only moved against them when they start to kill Muslims. They set up checkpoints and they quiz you about your Aqidah. If you did not answer properly according to what they expect you to answer, and your Aqidah did not coincide with their Aqidah, they will chop off your head. That was their stance. So they met Abdullah ibn Khabab with his wife, his pregnant wife. And they said to Abdullah ibn Khabab, what is your opinion of Abu Bakr? What is your opinion of Omar? First they said, who are you? He said, I am Abdullah ibn Khabab. They said, you are Abdullah ibn Khabab. You are the son of the great Sahaba, the famous Sahaba, Khabab. Okay, if that's the case, come and tell us some of the knowledge you gathered from your father. Tell us some of the hadith you learned from your father. Because if you are the son of such a great Sahaba, come and tell us some hadith. So they said, what is your opinion of Abu Bakr? What is your opinion of Omar? Then they said to him, what do you think about Tahkim, the arbitration that took place between Ali and Muawiyah? Do you think that Ali was right to put up his caliphate for arbitration and to negotiate with Muawiyah, who was creating mutiny in the Ummah? He belonged to the rebellious group. And tell us the hadith you learned from your father. He said, my father, Khabab, said that in the last days there will be fitna. The one who is sitting is better than the one who is standing. And the one who is standing is better than the one who is walking. The one who is walking is better than the one who is running towards the fitna. And when the fitna breaks out, it's better for you to be killed than for you to be one of the murderers. When they heard the hadith, they said, he's talking about us. He's talking about us. And they decided to kill him because they didn't want him to spread the hadith so that people know that they, the Khawarij, they are the source of fitna. So they said, what is your opinion of what Ali did to put up his caliphate for arbitration? He said to them, Ali is a scholar and he has more knowledge than you. He said to their face, Ali is a scholar of Islam, he's a Sahaba, and he has more knowledge than you. So I agree with what he did on that day. They chop off his head. They made takfir on him. And they chop off his head. Then they approached his wife and said, did you stay with your husband after he attended the arbitration? When your husband attended the arbitration between Ali and Muawiyah, did you still stay with him? She said yes. So they made takfir on her as well. I said, you're a kafir as well because your husband became a kafir for attending the tahkim, the arbitration, and you did not make bara from your husband. You should have made bara from your husband. So by staying with him, you're a kafir as well. So they killed her as well. And she was pregnant. She was heavily pregnant. They were not satisfied. They cut her stomach open and took the baby out and cut the baby up into small bits and pieces. Because the Khawarij, when they make takfir on you, they make takfir on your kids, even your babies. So they cut her stomach open and cut the baby up into small bits and pieces. So they made takfir on Abdullah bin Khabab, they made takfir on his wife, and they also made takfir on the unborn baby. This was the predicament of the Khawarij. They were swimming in deviancy all the way up to their necks. When this incident took place, it touched a nerve with Ali. So Ali said to them, Ali sent Ibn Abbas to them, and they were 12,000. Their army was numbered 12,000. Ali sent Ibn Abbas to them to debate with them. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala told you in the Holy Quran, in Surah Nisa, verse 59, all you who believe, Nisa 59, يَلَذِينَ آمَنُوا أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنكُمْ. All you believe, obey Allah and obey His Messenger, and those who are in authority from among you, أُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنكُمْ. فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. And if you have a dispute between yourselves in regards to a particular matter, refer the matter to Allah and His Rasul. Therefore, Ali had no choice but to refer the matter to Allah and His Rasul, because they were killing Muslims and they were leaving alone the mushrikeen. So they had a serious problem. So Ali sent a scholar to debate with them. Ibn Abbas said to them, "What is your problem with us?" They said, "We are carrying 3 grudges against you. We are carrying 3 grudges against Ali. The first grudge is that we fought with him at the Battle of the Camel against Aisha, and he allowed us their wealth, but he did not give us their women as concubines. So they wanted to take Muslim women as concubines. This is another characteristic of a Khawarij. He believes in taking Muslim girls as concubines, even though it is haram to take a Muslim girl as a concubine. So that was the first grudge they said that they were carrying against Ali. Ibn Abbas said at the Battle of the Camel, when Ali fought Aisha, Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, was held as one of the captives. Which one of you would like to take the Prophet wife Aisha as his concubine? When Ibn Abbas asked them the question, all of them hung their heads down in shame, and none of them could answer him, because Aisha is the mother of the believers. So how can you want to have sex with your own mother? Does that make sense? When the Prophet died, none of his wives were allowed to get married to men after him. It's haram for them to marry men after him, because they are the mothers of the believers. How can you marry your own mother? The second grudge, they said, why did Ali choose human beings as judges when Allah said in Surah 12, verse 40, "In al hukmu illa lillah." There is no lawgiver except Allah. There is no judge except Allah. So they said Ali did Kufr Akbar when he appointed men to be judges. Ibn Abbas said, "Don't you read the Quran?" Allah said in Surah Nisa, verse 35, whenever a man has a dispute with his wife and you fear that they are going to break up, send a judge from his family and send a judge from her family if you want to save the marriage. Nisa 35. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقٍ بَيْنَهُمَا فَابْعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِّنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِّنْ أَهْلِهَا إِنْ يُرِيدَا إِصْلَاحًا. Nisa 35. If you fear that a man is going to break up from his wife, send a judge from his family and send a judge from her family if you want to save the marriage, if you seek a reconciliation. So Ibn Abbas said, this ayah tells you that Allah Himself commanded us to use human beings as judges to save a marriage. Ibn Abbas said, what is more important? To save a marriage, to save a man breaking up from his wife, or to save Sahabas from killing Sahabas? When he checkmated them, then they submitted to this. They submitted to this argument of Ibn Abbas. The third grudge they carried against Ali is that when Ali was in the tahkim, the arbitration, and Amr ibn al-As, who was the spokesman for Muawiyah, said, "Scratch out your title. We don't see you as the Amir al-Mu'mineen. Had we considered you to be Amir al-Mu'mineen, we wouldn't have fought against you. We are fighting against you because we don't consider you to be Amir al-Mu'mineen. And Ali agreed to scratch out his title, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader of the believers. The Khawarij, their argument is, if he scratch out his title, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader of the believers, that means he's no longer Amir al-Mu'mineen, he's now Amir al-Kafirin. So they are saying, Ali consider us to be kuffar because by scratching out his title, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he has now become Amir al-Kafirin. So he's saying that we are Kafirin. So we carry a grudge against him for scratching out his title. Ibn Abbas said to the Khawarij, don't you remember what took place at the Treaty of Hudaybiyah? The Prophet ﷺ, when he came face to face with Quraysh to sign the treaty, he wrote Muhammad Rasulullah. And they said, scratch out Muhammad, scratch out Rasulullah. We don't see you as the messenger of Allah. Write Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Had we seen you as the messenger of Allah, we wouldn't have fought against you at the Battle of Badr and the Battle of Uhud. We fought against you because we don't consider you to be Rasulullah. So scratch out the title. And Ali was the scribe writing for the Prophet. And Ali said, should I scratch it out? The Prophet said, yes, scratch it out. Scratch out the title. And then the Prophet said, oh Ali, one day you will be in my shoes. One day, Ali, you shall be in my shoes. You shall be forced to scratch out your title. So Ibn Abbas said what Ali did was prophesied by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And if the Prophet Muhammad should prophesy something, it has to come to pass because he was a real prophet, not a fake prophet. So what Ali did at the Battle of Siffin to scratch out his title, he had to do it because the Prophet Muhammad prophesied that one day he will have to scratch out his title. When Ibn Abbas checkmated them on point by point, he checkmated them point by point. What happened? They were 12,000. Their army was 12,000. A huge army. 8,000 came back to the Aqidah of the Sahabas, Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. 8,000 left and came back. So only 4,000 were adamant in their deviant ideas. The leaders of the Khawarij did not leave. When you debate with somebody, it's not for him to change the leader. It's for people who listen to the debate to change. So Ali said, fight them. Wallahi, they can kill 10 of us. And when we are finished massacring them, 10 of them will not remain alive. Now, this battle is called the Battle of Nahrawan. A very famous battle. The Battle of Nahrawan. A fierce battle. So, yes, this battle is called the Battle of Nahrawan. And Ali said, fight them because they can kill 10 of us, and when we are finished massacring them, 10 of them will not remain alive. The battle took place, and Ali did the body count. What happened? They were only able to kill 9 of Ali's soldiers. Only 9 of Ali's soldiers. And when Ali finished massacring them, only 9 of them remained alive. They got what they deserve. Because when the battle was taking place between Ali and Muawiyah, Ali said, continue to fight. Don't stop. Continue to fight. Finish the job. Let's finish the job. They said, no, we're not going to fight. And they forced Ali to stop the fighting because they refused to fight. They laid on their arms. And when Ali agreed for arbitration, they complained. So these people, they were impossible. You could not please these people. They were impossible to please, these Khawarij. They were the ones who forced Ali to accept the arbitration because they refused to fight. And when Ali fought, when Ali accepted the arbitration, then they complained. After the Battle of Nahrawan, Ali went and searched the body bags. I mean, the bodies of those who died. What did he see? He found a Khawarij who had a hand that looked like the breast of a woman. They call him Dhul Sadiyya, the man with the tits, the man with the boobs, the man with the breast. When Ali found him, Ali said, Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, because Allah Ta'ala has used me, Ali, to fulfill one of the prophecies of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Rasul told Ali that when you fight the Khawarij, what will happen? One of them will have a hand that looked like the breast of a woman. When Ali found him among the dead, Ali said, Allahu Akbar, Allah has used me, Ali, to fulfill one of the prophecies of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This defeat of the Khawarij at Nahrawan created a shockwave in their ranks. They did not expect that the massacre would be so devastating. So they went to Mecca to regroup. Mecca of all places. They went to Mecca, holy Mecca, to regroup. And they said that we have to take revenge for our defeat at Nahrawan. They suffered a humiliating defeat. They decided 3 people are creating fitna in the Ummah. They are creating fasad in the land. And then they quoted Ma'idah 33 that those who create fasad should be killed or crucified, or their hands and feet should be cut off from opposite side. So they named the 3 people who they claim are creating fasad in the land. Who are they? Ali, Muawiyah, and Amr ibn al-As. They said these 3, they have to be killed. These 3, they have to be killed. Ali, Muawiyah, and Amr ibn al-As, because they are creating fasad in the land. And they had the audacity to quote Ma'idah 33 to justify their plot to kill Ali, Muawiyah, and Amr ibn al-As, 3 Sahabas. Then they quoted Baqarah 204 and said this ayah is talking about Ali. Baqarah 204. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُعْجِبُكَ قَوْلُهُ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا فِي قَلْبِهِ وَهُوَ أَلَدُّ الْخِصَامِ. And of mankind there is he whose speech may please you in this world, the life of this world. And he calls Allah to witness as to that which is in his heart, yet he is the most quarrelsome of the opponents. They said that this ayah is talking about Imam Ali, Ali ibn Abi Talib. They gathered in Mecca and they said we have to kill Ali, Muawiyah, and Amr ibn al-As, and they used Ma'idah 33 as the ayah to justify the assassination of these 3 noble Sahabas. They planted a man in Kufa because that was the seat for Ali's caliphate, Kufa in Iraq. They planted a man in Egypt. They planted a man in Damascus to kill Muawiyah. So the seat of Muawiyah's governance was Damascus, Syria. The seat of Ali's governance was Kufa in Iraq. And the seat of Amr ibn al-As' governance was in Egypt. So they planted 1 Khawarij each in these 3 places to kill Ali, to kill Muawiyah, and to kill Amr ibn al-As. In those days, there was no television, so people did not know celebrities. Many people went to Abu Bakr thinking Abu Bakr was the Prophet. They mixed up Abu Bakr with the Prophet. Because in those days there was no TV, so people used to mix up celebrities. The man went to Egypt to kill Amr ibn al-As, and he poisoned his sword. He saw a man, he thought it was Amr ibn al-As, he chopped off the head of the man. Subhanallah. He chopped off the head of the man. The people said, why did you kill him? Why did you kill the man? He said, this man, he's Amr ibn al-As, he's creating fitna, he's creating fasad in the land. He is the right hand man of Muawiyah. He's creating fitna among the Muslims. They said, he is not Amr ibn al-As, he's somebody else. He is not Amr ibn al-As, he's somebody else. Do you know what the Khawarij said? The Khawarij, he blamed Allah for the mistake. He said, well, I intended something and Allah intended something else. I killed the wrong man because as for this man, Allah wanted him dead. He blamed Allah for the mistake. I came to Egypt to kill Amr al-As. I killed the wrong man. It is Qadr Allah. I killed this man because Allah wanted him dead. Maybe he did something wrong in his past life, in the past, and Allah wanted him dead. That's why I killed the wrong man. He blamed it on Allah. He blamed it on Qadr. He said it's Qadr Allah. I intended something and Allah intended something else. Subhanallah. However, the people, they gathered around him and they killed him, the Khawarij. The second Khawarij, planted in Damascus, when Muawiyah came out to pray, he stabbed Muawiyah, but he did not stab Muawiyah properly, so Muawiyah survived the assassination attempt. Muawiyah survived the assassination attempt. The third Khawarij was planted in Kufa to kill Ali. When he arrived in Kufa, he met a girl. They said, the historians said, this girl is one of the most beautiful girls to set foot on the face of the earth. In some hadith, in some books, history books, this girl is one of the most beautiful girls the sun has ever shined on. That's how some historians describe her beauty. She's one of the most beautiful girls the sun has ever shined on. Some say she is one of the most beautiful girls that has ever set foot on the face of the earth. The man who was planted in Kufa to kill Ali, his name is Abdurrahman ibn Muljim. Abdurrahman ibn Muljim, that's the assassination, the man who was given the task to assassinate Ali. When he met the girl, he was taken aback. He was shocked. So he proposed to her. The girl said, I will accept your proposal if you can deliver my dowry. He said, what is the dowry? The girl said to him, the dowry is for you to chop off the head of Ali and bring it to me on a silver platter. Because my father and brother, they were fighting against Ali at the Battle of Nahrawan, and they were killed by the army of Ali. So I will never be contented until I take revenge. So I will marry you on condition that you can deliver the dowry. What is the dowry? I want you to cut off the head of Ali and bring it to me on a silver platter. If you can deliver that dowry, then I will marry you. I am yours. The Khawarij said, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Allahu Akbar. I came all the way to Iraq to kill Ali. I met the most beautiful girl ever. I met the most beautiful girl. I proposed to her, and she accepted my proposal on condition that I am able to kill Ali. Subhanallah, this means Allah has blessed my mission to kill Ali. Why would I meet such a beautiful girl? I proposed to her and she accepted my proposal on condition I kill Ali. This is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's not a lucky chance. It is all Allah's plan. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. So he became convinced that his mission was a noble mission because he met a girl. the most beautiful girl in her time, but she was a Khawarij girl who lost her father and brother at the Battle of Nahrawan. The Khawarij proposed to her and she named her price, her mahar. What is the mahar, the dowry? To cut off the head of Ali and bring it to me on a silver platter. Now, what I'm saying to you took place 40 years after the hijrah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All what I'm saying to you, the assassination of Ali, it took place 40 years after the hijrah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The man hid himself in the masjid in Kufa, and Ali came to pray Fajr, and he poisoned his sword, and he was desperate to kill Ali, to marry who he claimed to be the most beautiful girl in her time. And when Ali came through the masjid door, and Ali used to bang on the doors of the Muslims who live in close proximity to the masjid and said, Salah, Salah, and wake them up for Fajr. Ali stepped through the door, and Ali, in some history books, he started to pray the two sunnah before Fajr. While Ali was praying, the man chopped Ali in his head with his sword, his poisoned sword, until the marrow in the head of Ali drained out on his face. Now, he was captured, and the people said to Ali, what should we do with him? Ali said, if I survive this wound, the blow, I will decide myself what to do with him. And if I did not survive the blow, the wound, then you will kill him. But kill him with one strike of the sword to make sure the sword is sharp to lessen his suffering. Because his sword was poisoned, Ali did not survive the blow. And the people realized he's going to die. They said, we will choose your son Hassan to be the caliph after you. We shall choose Hassan to be the caliph after you. Ali said, I do not forbid you and I do not command you. In other words, the matter is in your hands. The reason why he said that, he didn't want to establish kingship in Islam. Ali died 3 days later. He did not survive the blow. The Khawarij, he killed Ali. And because he killed Ali, he himself got killed. So the three Khawarij were planted in 3 cities, 3 countries to kill Ali, Muawiyah, and Amr ibn al-As, but only Ali was killed, and this took place 40 years after the hijrah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, when Ali got married to Fatima, she was 19 and he was 21. So calculate how old he was when he died, because this took place, and this marriage between Ali and Fatima took place 2 years after the hijrah when Ali was 21. Then he was killed 40 years after the hijrah. This means Ali was approximately 63 when he died. 61 years old when he died. Do the calculation. He was killed 40 years after the hijrah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, surprisingly, when one of the soldiers of Ali approached him and said, these Khawarij that we fought at the Battle of Nahrawan, were they mushrikeen? Ali said, they were running away from shirk. They were running away from shirk. The man said, were they munafiqeen? Ali said, the munafiqeen, they only remember Allah a little. They used to remember Allah a lot. They used to recite the Quran every day. They used to do dhikr every day. When you go to their camp, you could hear them reciting the Quran. They sound like bees in the hive, the way they were reciting the Quran. So the man said, if they were not mushrikeen and they were not munafiqeen, what were they? Ali said, Ikhwanuna baghaw alayna. They are our brothers in deen who rebelled against us. As for their statement, Il hukma illa lillah. There is no lawgiver except Allah. There is no judge except Allah. There is no judge except Allah. Ali said, Kalimatul haq يريد بها باطل. أراد بها باطل. A statement of truth, but they use it for a batil purpose. That statement, there is no lawgiver except Allah. There is no judge except Allah. That statement is a statement of truth, but they use it for a batil purpose. Batil means falsehood. They use it for a false purpose. That was a statement of Ali. Now, these Khawarij, they were so extreme with their takfir. One day they were with their soldiers. A date fell from a tree. Listen to this. A date fell from a tree. One of the soldiers picked up the date and ate it. They said to him, "Did you pay for it?" He said, "No." He said, "You're a thief. How can you eat a fruit that belongs to the tree of another man and you didn't pay for it? You're a thief. And because you're a thief, you're a kafir." And what did they do? They chop off his head just for eating one date. In Arabic we say tamar. Just for eating one date, because the date came from the tree of a man. They said, it's not your tree. You stole the mandate. You didn't pay for it. And you ate it. So what did they do? They chop off his head. They said, "You're a kafir because you're a thief." And they chop off his head. That was how extreme the Khawarij were. The Khawarij, they went astray in regards to Takfir. They do not make a difference between major shirk and minor shirk. They don't make a difference between major kufr and minor kufr. The Holy Prophet said in a hadith, "Sibabul Muslim fisq wa qitaluhu kufr." To insult your Muslim brother is a sin, but to fight him is kufr. They said, "That's it, you're a kafir." Because they interpret the word kufr to mean you're a kafir. They do not realize that in Islam there are two types of kufr, major and minor. There are two types of shirk, major and minor. The Khawarij, why did they call Muslims kafirs for their sins? Because they paint every kufr with the same brush and they say kufr is kufr. Therefore, if you steal, you're a kafir. If you drink alcohol, you're a kafir. If you commit zina, you're a kafir. We, the members of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we are not Khawarij. So we say there are two types of kufr, major and minor. The only haram that can take you outside the fold of Islam and render you to be a kafir is the haram which was classified as major kufr. When a man cheats on his wife, it's not major kufr, it's minor kufr. When a man drinks alcohol or smoke weed, it's not major kufr, it's minor kufr. So these things cannot make you a kafir. The only haram that can make you a kafir is a haram which was classified as major kufr. The Khawarij, they don't know this. In the time of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a man used to drink alcohol. His name was Abdullah, and they called him Himar, the donkey. And he used to make the Prophet laugh a lot. And he used to be flogged for drinking alcohol. One day somebody said to him, "May the curse of Allah be upon you. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Look how often you have been flogged for drinking alcohol." The Prophet heard, and the Prophet said, "Don't curse him. Wallahi, he loves Allah and His Rasul." The Prophet took side with the drinker. "Don't curse him. Wallahi, he loves Allah and His Rasul." Now, if this man was a kafir for drinking alcohol, why did the Prophet say to the people, why did the Prophet say to the man who said, "May the curse of Allah be upon you"? Don't curse him. Wallahi, he loves Allah and His Rasul. This proves to you that when you drink alcohol, it is an act of kufr, but it's minor kufr. And because it is minor kufr, you are still a Muslim inside the fold of Islam. So if you drink or you have affairs, we say to you, in the dunya, you are classified as a Muslim. A fasik, or a bad Muslim. Fasik means a sinful Muslim. And in the hereafter, you are underneath the will of Allah. If Allah wants, He can forgive you for your zina and your khamr. And if Allah wants, He can punish you in the hellfire for some time. We say for some time because no Muslim will be in hellfire forever. No Muslim. Okay, shukran for bringing the hadith about the man who used to drink alcohol and the Prophet flogged him for drinking alcohol. And when somebody said, "May the curse of Allah be upon you," the Prophet said, "Don't curse him. Wallahi, he loves Allah and His Rasul." This is the hadith we use to checkmate the Khawarij with their batil aqidah, making takfir on Muslims who drink, or Muslims who smoke weed, or Muslims who commit zina, or Muslims who gamble in casinos. All these are haram, but you are not allowed to make takfir on a person for doing these things. Why? Because there are two types of kufr, major and minor. Major disbelief, minor disbelief. The only kufr that can take you outside the fold of Islam is major kufr. The Khawarij, they don't understand that. And the only shirk that can take you outside the fold of Islam is major shirk. The Khawarij, they don't understand that. They paint every kufr with the same brush. They say kufr is kufr, and therefore they make takfir on people who commit sins. Yes. We continue in refuting the Khawarij. Among the dodgy aqidah of the Khawarij, listen to their dodgy aqidah. If you have a child, you the Muslim mother, you have a child. You the Muslim mother, the Muslim father, you have a child. When the child reaches puberty, you have to give shahada to the child. A'udhu billah, a'udhu billah. What a dodgy aqidah. The companions of Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Talha, Zubair, Abdurrahman bin Auf, Sa'd ibn Abu Waqqas, they all had kids. None of them gave shahada to their kids when they reached puberty. When you have a child and you teach the child how to pray, and the child recited the tashahhud, at-tayyat lillahi wa salawat wa tayyibat, As-salam ala nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As-salamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. When your child recites the tashahhud, that is the child taking his shahada. That is our aqidah. The Khawarij said, no, that's not the case. When your child reaches puberty, you have to give the child the shahada. This is not our aqidah. This is the aqidah of the Khawarij. They believe it is halal to kill Muslims. They believe it is halal to kill women and children. They make it halal to kill women and children. Now, what is the aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah in regards to killing kafir women and children? The correct aqidah is you are not allowed to kill a kafir woman unless she's a soldier on the battlefield. If she's a soldier, she's no longer a woman. She forfeited her status as a woman. She's a soldier. You can kill a kafir woman soldier on the battlefield. But if she's not a soldier, it is haram to kill women and children. Women and children can be killed if they are soldiers, because you have child soldiers. The Khawarij say you kill them even if they are not soldiers. Look at their aqidah. Subhanallah. Look at their aqidah. And the companions of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they fought at a battle and they used fire bombs to kill the kuffar. And some kids from among the kuffar got killed in the battle. And the Sahaba said, "O Messenger of Allah, we targeted the adults, but the kids got killed." The Prophet said, "Hum minhum." These kids are from among them. In other words, when you go to the battlefield, if you targeted the adults and the children got killed, you are not allowed to feel guilty because you did not target the kids, you target the adults. These kids, they die accidentally. It is called crossfire. They die in the crossfire accidentally. So you are not allowed to feel guilty if you go to the battlefield and you target the adults and the kids die accidentally. because the Prophet did not make his companions feel guilty when they killed the kids accidentally. So kids can only be killed accidentally. But as for killing women and children by targeting them, this is not permissible. Now, the only time you can kill kafir kids is if they are killing your kids. Listen carefully. The only time you are allowed to kill kafir kids is if they are killing your kids. And the only way you can stop them from killing your Muslim kids is for you to kill their kids. That's the only time you can kill kafir kids. But if they are not killing your kafir kids, you are not allowed to kill their kids. You have some neo-Khawarij. Neo means new. The modern day Khawarij. Now, when we ask the Khawarij, what is your evidence that when a man is committing zina, he's a kafir? When you ask him, what is your evidence that when a man is committing zina, he's a kafir? They bring the hadith found in Bukhari. لا يزني الزاني حين يزني وهو مؤمن. Please bring me the hadith. The man who is committing adultery or fornication is not a mu'min when he's in the act with the woman. He is not a mu'min. They said, look, the Prophet said, when you are in the act with the woman committing your adultery, you are not a mu'min. That means you're a kafir. This is the aqidah of the Khawarij. We say to the Khawarij, you are so jahil in regards to Tawheed, you do not know that there is Muslim and there is mu'min. There are what? There is Muslim and there is mu'min. So they say, look, the Prophet said he is not a mu'min when he's in the act. That means if he should die from a heart attack during the sex, he died a kafir. And many men die from heart attack during sex. The excitement caused them to have a heart attack. So they say if he should die from a heart attack during the sex, he died as a kafir, because the Prophet said he is not a mu'min when he's in the act. Did you find the hadith? The Prophet said there is no way for while he is drinking alcohol. He's not a mu'min when he is committing zina. We say to the Khawarij, you are so jahil, you do not realize that there is Muslim and there is mu'min. What the Prophet meant is, the shar for the hadith is, when a man is committing fornication or adultery with a woman, when he's in the act, he is not a mu'min, but still he is a Muslim. That is our aqidah. The aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The man is not a mu'min when he's in the act with the woman, but he's still a Muslim. So if he should die from a heart attack, he died as a Muslim, but he did not die as a mu'min. So what will be his situation on Judgment Day? He died from a heart attack in zina, from the excitement. What is his situation on Judgment Day? We say to you on Judgment Day, you are underneath the will of Allah, Allah's Mashiach. You are underneath Allah's Mashiach, Allah's will. If Allah wants, He can forgive you for your zina. And if Allah wants, He can dump you in hellfire for some time for your zina. Because Allah said in Surah Nisa verse 48, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرْ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرْ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَن يَشَاءُ. Allah doesn't forgive the crime of shirk, to worship a false deity. But Allah is prepared to forgive everything else to whom He please. To whom He please. Therefore, we say to you, if you die from zina, from a heart attack on Judgment Day, you are classified as a Muslim and you are underneath the will of Allah. You died as a Muslim, on Judgment Day you'll be resurrected as a Muslim, and you are underneath the will of Allah, because Allah said in Surah Nisa verse 48, verily Allah doesn't forgive those who commit the crime of shirk, but Allah will forgive anything else to whom He please. And Mike can hear me? Oh, okay, shukran. The Neo-Khawarij. The Neo-Khawarij, they say that some of them, and the founder of the Neo-Khawarij, Ahmad Shukri Mustafa. Ahmad Shukri Mustafa. He started the movement Jamaat Takfir al-Hijrah. founded in Egypt. Ahmad Shukri Mustafa was from Egypt. He was so harsh with his takfir. He said that if you use the water in your kitchen, the water that comes in the pipes, the water that comes in the pipes in your kitchen, if you use that to cook, you're a kafir because the water was provided by the Tawheed. You're only allowed to use the water from the well. He made takfir if you use the water in your kitchen to cook, because the water was provided by an apostate regime, the Tawheed. You are a kafir. You are not allowed to use that water. You are obliged, it is compulsory on you to go with your bucket in the well and take the water from the well, not the water that comes in the tap in your toilet or your bathroom, because that water was provided by the Tawheed. The Neo Khawarij, they said all the Muslim parents who are living in the USA and in Europe, and you send your kids to the state school, all of you have become kuffar. All the Muslim parents who send their kids to state schools, you're all kafirs. Why? Because in the state schools, they teach that men evolved from monkeys, Darwinism, and they teach that to be gay is normal. So you're a kafir. And if you take the kids out of the state school and send them to a church school, still you're a kafir, because in the church school they teach that Jesus is God. So whether you send the kids to a state school or a church school, you're a kafir, because the church school said Jesus is God. And the government school, the state school, said men evolved from monkeys and to be gay is normal. The only time you are not a kafir is when you send your kids to a Muslim school. So all the Muslim parents who are living in Europe and America, you are all kuffar because you send your kids to state schools and to expose them to the syllabus of the Dajjal. So because you expose your kids to the syllabus, the education syllabus of the Dajjal, you have all become kuffar outside the fold of Islam. And if you don't have the money, to send them to Muslim schools, it is compulsory on you to homeschool the kids. It is compulsory on you to homeschool the kids. But as for exposing them to the state syllabus, if you do that, you are a kafir outside the fold of Islam. The Khawarij, they make takfir on dogs. They make takfir on animals. Black dogs. Every black dog is a kafir because the Prophet is a shaitan. And they make takfir on the geckos. The gecko is I hope I spelled the word right. The gecko. It has no H. Okay, the gecko. It's a lizard that blew the fire up on Prophet Abraham. When Prophet Abraham was in the fire, all the animals tried to make the fire go out on Abraham, except the lizard, the gecko. It blew the fire up on Prophet Abraham. So Aisha used to keep a stick in her house to kill the gecko if she comes across the gecko, when Aisha heard the story. The Khawarij, they make takfir on the black dogs and they make takfir on the gecko. The Khawarij, they make takfir on animals. Some Khawarij, not all, they say that Surah Yusuf is not a surah of the Quran. What do they say? Surah Yusuf is not a surah of the Holy Quran. Allah is too shy to reveal something like that in the Quran. A man and a woman is in the same bedroom and she wanted zina and he was running away. And she grabbed him and tore his shirt from the back. She was so desperate for zina, she tore his shirt from the back. They said Allah did not reveal that section of the Quran. Surah Yusuf is not a surah of the Holy Quran. That is the aqidah of some Khawarij. They don't believe in Shafa'ah, intercession. They don't believe in Al-Hawd. They don't believe in As-Sirat. They say that if a man should commit zina, you are not allowed to stone him to death because that ayah is not in the Quran. If a man should commit zina, you cannot stone him to death because that ayah is not in the whole Quran. They don't believe in qiyas, analogy, and analogical deduction. Even though the scholars of fiqh said qiyas is a crucial aspect of our deen. Half of the Sharia is based on qiyas. Allah said in the Quran, if the slave girl commits zina, don't give her 100 lashes, give her 50 lashes. And Allah did not mention the slave boy. The scholars of fiqh, they use qiyas and said, if the slave boy should commit zina, he is given 50 lashes. Qiyas. The Khawarij, they said, we don't accept qiyas. It's not a part of their fiqh, qiyas. Now, the Khawarij, they make takfir on the kids of the kuffar. So if a kafir should have a child who died at age 2, age 3, age 4, age 5, because the mother and father were Hindus, that child who died at age 5 is a kafir child, and the child will be in the hellfire. Our Aqidah says that the children of the kuffar will be in paradise, and they will become servants for the believers. There's a hadith to that effect. And this hadith was collected by Abu Naim in Hulliyah. The great scholar of Islam, Abu Naim, was the one who related the hadith, and the hadith is classified Sahih, that the kids of the kuffar will be in paradise and they will become servants for the believers. That is our Aqidah. The Khawarij said, no, 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 the children of the kuffar, they are all in the hellfire. What an Aqidah. This is the Aqidah of the Khawarij. And where is the hadith I've just quoted unto you about the children of the kuffar? And please bring me the hadith. Another problem with the Khawarij. By the way, when the Prophet went to Al-Isra wal-Miraj, he saw some kids and they were sitting with Prophet Abraham. He asked, who is that man? The angel Gabriel said, that's Prophet Abraham. So who are the kids around him? The angel said, these are the kids of people who died before puberty. These kids, they died before reaching puberty. They will be in paradise with Prophet Abraham and Sarah. So that is our Aqidah, that those who died before puberty, they will be in Jannah. Even the children of the kuffar will be in Jannah. But the Khawarij, they said, no, no, no. If you are a child born to kafir parents, you are a kafir, so you are going to go to the hellfire. That is their Aqidah. Whereas the hadith I've just quoted, that the children of the kuffar who died before puberty will be in paradise and they will become servants for the believers. You are struggling to find the hadith? Never mind, I'll continue with the dars. The Khawarij, they don't believe in the impediments of Takfir. They don't believe in impediments of Takfir. Even though Takfir has impediments. If you say a statement of kufr, which is a slip of the tongue, you are not allowed to make takfir on the person. Another impediment of takfir is if the person is a child. So if a child should say a statement of kufr, you are not allowed to make takfir on the child. Another impediment of takfir is insanity, because these people, they don't even have any accountability. There is no accountability for these people. The madman, the child, the sleeping man. Another impediment of takfir is a man who was forced. Could you bring me the hadith authentic to it 19, where the Prophet said the children of the kuffar will be in paradise and they will be the servants of the believers in paradise? If a person holds a gun at you and tells you to renounce Muhammad, you're allowed to renounce Muhammad because you were forced. It's an impediment of takfir. When Ammar ibn Yasir was beaten up by the kuffar, he renounced Muhammad. And the Rasul said, you are still a believer because you were forced. They don't believe in the impediments of Takfir, and they don't believe in the excuse of ignorance. The Khawarij, they don't believe in the excuse of ignorance. When a person should steal in their camp and they cut off his hand, they don't cut off the hand from the wrist, they cut off from the arm, the whole arm. Because they said the hand means the whole arm. That's how extreme they were. They will never cut off the hand from the wrist, like the Prophet said. They cut off the entire arm. Because they said hand means the entire arm. That's how extreme the Khawarij were. If they should go to a country like Malaysia or Pakistan and they met a man with the name Muhammad, or they met a woman with the name Khadija and she's wearing hijab, they said, we will never accept him as a Muslim because maybe he has dodgy aqidah. We have to vet him, interrogate him. And if he answers our questions properly and his aqidah matches our aqidah, then we will accept him as a Muslim. They will never give a person the benefit of the doubt. So the Khawarij, they don't believe in a principle called the benefit of the doubt. If they should go to Pakistan or Malaysia, they met a man with the name Muhammad. They said, as far as we are concerned, he is a kafir even though he has the name Muhammad. Until we inspect him, we vet him thoroughly. And if his aqidah matches up with our aqidah, then he is a Muslim. Otherwise, he is a kafir until proven to be a Muslim. They will never give a believer the benefit of the doubt. That is the stance of the Khawarij. They believe in taking Muslim women as concubines. Therefore, when they debated with Ibn Abbas, they demanded Muslim women to be taken as concubines. So that is another trait of a Khawarij. Their women, some Khawarij, they command their women to pray even when they are menstruating. Because they say, if you don't pray, you're a kafir. Therefore, you have to pray even when you are menstruating. That is their fiqh. Some Khawarij, they tell the women, don't pray when you are menstruating, but after the menstruation stops, you have to make it up. You have to make up the salah. So a girl came to Aisha and said, shall I make up the salah after my menstruation stopped? Aisha became upset with her and said, Aharuriya anti, are you Haruriya? Because this was the name given to the Khawarij. They encamped at this place. That was their camp. The Khawarij women, when they miss salah because of menstruation, they used to make up the salah after the menstruation stopped. So Aisha became upset with her. Aisha said, during the lifetime of the Prophet, we used to menstruate, and he told us to make up the fast that we missed, but he did not command us to make up the salah that we missed. So he asked the woman, are you a Khawarij woman? Only the Khawarij make up the salah they missed during their menstruation. I put it to you, the Khawarij, they went astray in regards to Takfir. They paint every kufr with the same brush. They say kufr is kufr. So whenever a person drink alcohol or commit zina or gamble in casino, they said that's it, he's a kafir. He is a kafir. We the members of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we say to the Khawarij, there are two types of kufr, major kufr and minor kufr. And a person is not a kafir until he perpetrates a major kufr. An example of major kufr is to dabble in black magic, to spy for the kuffar, to throw the Holy Quran in the dustbin, to insult Allah, to insult Muhammad. All these are examples of major kufr. To dabble in black magic, to spy for the kuffar, to throw the Quran in the dustbin, to insult Allah, to insult the Rasul. All these are examples of major kufr. And a person, or to deny that which is known of Islam by necessity. To deny that which is known of Islam by necessity. All these are examples of major kufr. We, the members of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, We say to you, there are two types of kufr, major and minor. And the only act, the only haram that can eject you outside the fold of Islam is a haram which was classified as major kufr. Because you are jahil in regards to Tawheed and Aqidah, you do not know that there are two types of kufr, so you make takfir on Muslims for their sins. There are some people in the world today, they are called the Madkhalis. They call the Mujahideen Khawarij, dogs of Jahannam, because the Prophet said the Khawarij, they are the dogs of Jahannam. They call the Mujahideen Khawarij and they call them terrorists. The shady Shiites, the Brahmins, the Shiites, and the Sunni Salafis, they are the ones who call the Mujahideen Khawarij, complaining that they are trying to topple our paymasters. These Mujahideen are trying to topple our paymasters, so they call them Khawarij. With them, the Prophet said that the most important description, the most important characteristic of the Khawarij is that they will kill the Muslims and leave alone the kuffar. The Mujahideen who are fighting all over the world in a global jihad, they are fighting to liberate Bilad and Ibad, land and man. They do not fit this description that the Prophet gave of the Khawarij. The Khawarij are friendly with the kuffar and they hate Muslims. It's you, the Markhali, you are the one who is a Khawarij, because you write books against the scholars who are on the haqq. And you spy against the Muslims. Belmarsh is full. Belmarsh is full because you submitted names of Muslims to Scotland Yard. Abdullah Baker said, for 5 years I've been spying. The leader of the Madkhalis in Brixton said, for 5 years I've been spying on the Muslims for the Scotland Yard, for the CIA, for the MI5, for 5 years. A black man of Nigerian descent. Nigerian father, Guyanese mother. Guyana is South America. Could you bring me the hadith where it says the kids of the kuffar will be the servants of the Muslims in paradise? I've been asking for the hadith. Yes. So, the most important characteristic of the Khawarij is that they will be friendly with the kuffar and they'll hate Muslims. You are calling the Mujahideen Khawarij, but the Mujahideen are not Khawarij. Because they don't kill Muslims and leave alone the kuffar. The kuffar are crying because they are losing the war against the Mujahideen. The Mujahideen, they are the Ta'ifa Mansura, the aided and victorious group. They are the soldiers of Allah. So how can you call them the dogs of the hellfire? So we say to you, the Madkhali, look at yourself in the mirror and you'll see who is the real dog of Jahannam. You don't need to look far. Look at the man in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror. Okay, this is the hadith. The children of the mushrikeen are servants of the people of paradise. A very famous hadith. And it is collected by Abu Naim in Huliyah. The children of the mushrikeen will be servants for the people of paradise. That is our Aqidah. But the Khawarij said, no, the children of the mushrikeen, they are in the hellfire. That is not our Aqidah. It goes against the hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes. You are not allowed to spread propaganda against the Mujahideen by calling them Khawarij or terrorists. Don't be like the Saudi Salafis, the Madkhalis. They have gone so deep in their kufr, in obeying the Gora, the white kafir, they preach Darwinism in their masjid. That's what they are doing. Abdurrahim Green, who used to be a Saudi Salafi, broke away from them. Masjid Tawheed in London, Leytonstone. They are preaching Darwinism in their masjid, the Saudi Salafis. That's how deep they have gone in their kufr. They are preaching Darwinism in their masjid. Some people have gone deep in their kufr. They preach democracy in their masjid. When I was on tour of South Africa, I saw Deobandis preaching democracy in their masjid. saying that democracy and shura is the exact same thing. Deobandis preach democracy in their masjid. The Saudi Salafists, they preach Darwinism in their masjid. That's how much they follow the Gora, the white Kafir, to the letter. And then they call the Mujahideen Khawarij. You are not allowed to call the Mujahideen Khawarij because Khawarij means a dog of Jahannam. It is called a Puritan. A Puritan, it is translated as the Puritans, the dogs of Jahannam. And they are friendly with kuffar and kill Muslims. The Mujahideen, they are doing the opposite. They are not friendly with kuffar. They are dispatching the kuffar to the hellfire to abide forever and ever. This is our refutation of the Khawarij for today. I will now pause and entertain questions. So, whenever a person doesn't give a person the benefit of the doubt, that's a Khawarij. Whenever a person doesn't make 70 excuses for his Muslim brothers and sisters, that is a Khawarij. Anytime a person doesn't make excuse for their brothers and sisters, that's a Khawarij. For example, if you see a Muslim brother coming out of McDonald's or Kentucky in Ramadan, you have to make excuse. He went in McDonald's to use the toilet. Don't say, oh, he's a munafiq, he was eating food. No. If you see your Muslim sister coming out of Kentucky, 12 midday in Ramadan, you have to say, she went in there to use the toilet. Don't say she's a munafiq, she went to eat food. Always make 70 excuses for your brothers and sisters. Always give them the benefit of the doubt. A Khawarij will never ever give you the benefit of the doubt. A Khawarij will never ever make 70 excuses for his brother. They won't even make one excuse for you. Not even one excuse they will never make for you. And because of that, these people, they are always divorced. The kuffar, they are Khawarij. The Kafirs in Europe and America, they are Khawarij with the Ummah. And they believe in collective punishment. That's another trait of a Khawarij. They believe in collective punishment. The kuffar in Europe and America, they are Khawarij and they believe in collective punishment. Now, take for example September 11. They say that the Muslims carried out September 11. And they said the Muslims did the Oklahoma bombing. And when a man in Norway was killing people, they said the Muslims planted the bomb in Norway and it was a Muslim who was on the rampage killing. And then it turned out to be a white man, a Gora, who said, I want to kill the Muslims so that the population will turn against the Muslims in Norway. But when they did not know who planted the bomb in Norway, the media said it's the Muslims. When Oklahoma bomb went off, all the media said it's the Muslims. Then they found out Timothy McVeigh planted the bomb, and Timothy McVeigh was a white supremacist. And he belonged to the Davidian cult of the Seventh-day Adventists. And because of the Waco, Texas, the compound was burnt down, he bombed the Oklahoma building to take revenge for what took place in Waco, Texas. September 11 happened, they said it's the Muslims. Now, the kuffar, they believe in collective punishment because they are Khawarij, the dogs of Jahannam. So, even though Iraq had nothing to do with September 11 and there is no link between Saddam Hussein and Al Qaeda, they invaded Iraq and they have now killed 1 million Muslims. 1 million Muslims in Iraq paid the price for September 11, and another million Muslims in Afghanistan paid the price. Another million in Afghanistan, they paid the price. So they said 3,000 Kafirs died September 11. Already 2 million Muslims paid the price because Kafirs believe in collective punishment. And they are the dogs of hellfire. Whenever a Palestinian should plant a bomb, should become a suicide bomber, the Israelis, they bulldoze his house down. They tear his house down, even though his parents did not know that he was going to be a suicide bomber. Why? Because Kafirs believe in collective punishment. And when the Kafirs bomb you, they bomb indiscriminately. They drop bombs in apartment buildings. That's what the Jews do in Palestine. They bomb apartment buildings. The Jews bomb a school in Gaza called the Fakhriya school in the Jabaliyah refugee camp. A kindergarten school. Why they bomb the kindergarten school? Because Kafirs believe in collective punishment, even though it is against the Geneva Convention. Collective punishment. Why? Because Kafirs are Khawarij. They are Khawarij with the Muslims. And Kafirs kill Muslim kids. Why Kafirs kill Muslim kids? The UN put embargo on Iraq. They put embargo on the baby food and kill 1 million Iraqi children because Kafirs are the dogs of Jahannam. They are Khawarij, and the Kafirs believe in collective punishment. And they are the worst of Khawarij. A Kafir has no mercy in his heart. Now, when Umar was the caliph, a woman slept with her slave boy. And Umar said, "Why? You're a married woman, why you slept with your slave boy?" She said, "He is my concubine, my male concubine." Umar did not stone her to death because Umar realized that she was Jahil. In the Kafir law, they say ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So if you are in Europe or America and you did something illegal and you did not know that it was illegal, they punish you because they say ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Why? Because Kafirs are Khawarij. Kafirs have no mercy in their heart, and Kafirs believe in collective punishment. They killed 1 million Muslims in Iraq to take revenge for September 11, even though Iraq had nothing to do with September 11, because Kafirs believe in collective punishment. Kafirs have no mercy in their hearts. Kafirs are Khawarij. Kafirs are the dogs of the hellfire, the dogs of Jahannam. I will now pause and entertain questions. So, the word which is used for the Khawarij in English is the Puritans. That is how they are translated into English. Puritans. They try to purify the Ummah of Muhammad by making takfir on people who drink or commit zina, even though no sin can take you outside the fold until the sin is classified as Kufr Akbar. And a Khawarij will never give his Muslim brothers the benefit of the doubt. Never. And they will never make 70 excuses for their Muslim brothers. They won't even make one excuse for you. Not even one excuse. That's a Khawarij. And they have absolutely no mercy in their hearts. Absolutely no mercy in their heart. These are the characteristics of a Khawarij. I will now pause and take 5 questions. One day the Khawarij was with their Khawarij army. A date palm tree, a date dropped from the tree. One date dropped from the tree. And one of the soldiers picked it up and eat it. They said, did you buy it? Did you pay for it? He said, no. He said, you're a thief. You're a kafir. And they chop off his head. For one date. Just one date. You're a thief. You're a Khawarij. And they chop off his head. Tomorrow's dars is the Murji'ah. Authentic Tawheed 5. Tomorrow's dars is the Murji'ah, the liberals. Please make the banner, use the same banner, but take the word Khawarij out and put Murji'ah. The same banner, the same flyer, but put Murji'ah. The Khawarij of today are people like the Saudi Salafis. Because they are friendly with the Kuffar, they spy for the Kuffar, and they hate Muslims. They write books. They write books against myself, Anwar Olaki, Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, Anwar Olaki, Sheikh Faisal. They write books against us because the Gora told them to write these books. They are servants of the Gora, the Saudi Salafis. They have gone so deep in their kufr, they now preach Darwinism in their masjid. A'udhu billah. Many people email me and thank me for exposing the Saudi Salafis 10 years ago. They said, Sheikh Faisal, we thank you. You exposed these people 10 years ago. Only now we realize what you were talking about. They are now preaching Darwinism in their masjids. Many people email me to thank me for exposing them 10 years ago, the devil's deception of the Saudi Salafis. They are the Khawarij of the Ummah. They are Murji with the leaders, Khawarij with the Ummah, and they are Jabriya with the tyrants. Jabriya means if I should commit zina, don't blame me, blame Allah. Allah wrote it down, I was going to do it. Juhayman in Saudi Arabia, Salafis claim he was from the Khawarij. Juhayman was misguided, not Khawarij. Juhayman said, I'm the Caliph. Not the Caliph, the Mahdi. I am Imam Mahdi. He was misguided, not Khawarij. What's your view on Juhayman? Yes. I'm taking 5 questions. Kufr duna kufr is the meaning of the second kufr you were saying in the lecture. Yes. There are 2 types of kufr, major and minor. And the only sin that can take you outside the fold is major kufr. Minor kufr is called kufr duna kufr, a minor kufr, or kufr asghar. The Khawarij, they don't divide kufr into two types, 2 categories, major and minor. They say kufr is kufr. So, they say if you fight your Muslim brother, it's kufr, that means you're a kafir. If you drink alcohol, it's kufr, you're a kafir. They don't realize that these things are considered minor kufr, therefore they cannot eject you outside the fold of Islam. They don't split shirk into 2 categories, major shirk and minor shirk. They're also jahil in regards to Tawheed. They don't divide shirk into 2 categories, major and minor. They say shirk is shirk. So any type of shirk you commit, you're a kafir. Look how dangerous it is when a person doesn't have knowledge of Tawheed. When you don't have knowledge of Tawheed, either you become a Khawarij or a Murji, or a Mu'tazila, or a Jabriya. You're going to become something which is wrong if you don't have knowledge of Tawheed. And because of that, Abu Hanifa said, the Tawheed, to learn your Tawheed, that is fiqh akbar. The greatest fiqh is not to wudu or ghusl. The greatest fiqh is to learn your Tawheed. That is fiqh al-akbar, to learn your Tawheed. Look at the Khawarij, look how pathetic their state is. Because they did not learn Tawheed. I'm new here. You said the Khawarij kill Muslims. Sometimes there are Mujahideen who kill Muslims too. So this goes with the Hadith. The Mujahideen who kill Muslims, they are killing the Munafiqeen who spy for the Kuffar. That's what they do. They kill the Mujahideen who kill the Muslims. They are killing people who spy for the Kuffar, not real Muslims. Learn the Tawheed, that is fiqh al-akbar. Not to learn how to make ghusl or wudu, to learn your Tawheed, that is fiqh al-akbar. If the Deobandis had learned their Tawheed, they wouldn't have believed in democracy. If the Deobandis had learned their Tawheed, they wouldn't say Allah is everywhere, they would believe Allah is over the arsh. But because they don't learn their Tawheed, they don't believe Allah is over the arsh. Imam Malik said, to believe that Allah is over the arsh is wajib, and to ask about it, it is a bid'ah. The Tablighi Jama'ah, if they had learned their Tawheed, they would know that Allah is over the arsh, they wouldn't say Allah is everywhere. But because they don't know Tawheed, they don't know where Allah is. Their state is pitiful, appalling, and pathetic. If resources to knowledge are available to someone at the masjid, within the community, and on the internet, etc., but they still do not bother to look for the knowledge, is ignorance an excuse for them? Ignorance is not an excuse for you if you commit shirk ibadah. This is a very important question. Ignorance is not an excuse for those who commit the shirk. Which shirk? Shirk ibadah, to worship a false deity. Because Allah said in Surah 7, 172, I took you from the loins of Adam, and I made you testify against yourself, saying, am I not your one and only Lord? Allah said, I did this so that on Judgment Day, you can't come with ignorance and try to use it as an excuse. Bring me the ayah, Surah 7, 172. Allah said, remember, I took you from the loins of Adam, and I made you testify against yourself, saying, Alastu bi rabbikum qalu bala. Yes, we testify you are our Lord, our one and only Lord. Allah said, I did this. I took you from the loins of Adam, and I made you testify I am your one and only Lord, so that on Judgment Day you can't use the excuse of ignorance. I put it to you, the excuse of ignorance is not used when a person worships a false deity. Because Surah Araf 172 is the evidence. The excuse of ignorance cannot be applied when a person worships a false deity. And Allah Ta'ala made takfir on the Christians. Ma'idah 72, Ma'idah 73. لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. Verily they are kuffar who claim that Jesus, verily they are kuffar who claim that Allah is the third of three deities in the Trinity. There are kuffar who claim that Allah is the third of three deities in the Trinity. Allah did not give the excuse of ignorance to the Christians because it's your natural instinct to worship one God. Is it possible that the Khawarij are kuffar because the Rasul said they will leave the religion like an arrow through its target? And he said they would continue to emerge up until the end of time. So it is possible that only this sect of Khawarij, who Ali referred to as Muslims, were only one sect, and this did not refer to Khawarij in general. Okay, this question number 5 is very, very important. It's a very, very important question. Those Khawarij who claim that Surah Yusuf is not a part of the Quran, they are kuffar. So some of them are kuffar, not all of them, some of them. Because if you deny one surah, you're a kafir. I beg your pardon. If you deny one verse, not just one surah, one verse, one ayah, you're a kafir. I beg your pardon. If you deny one word of the Quran, you're a kafir. Just to deny one word, one kalima, you're a kafir. So I put it to you that those Khawarij who claim that Surah Yusuf is not a surah of the Quran, they are kuffar. So question number 5 is a very, very important question. Some Khawarij are kuffar. Which ones? The ones who deny that which is known of Islam by necessity. The ones who deny that which is known of Islam by necessity, they are kuffar. We established the Hujjah to testify to Uluhiyah. The ayah is Ma'idah 72, Ma'idah 73. Allah made takfir on the Christians for their Trinity. Allah did not give the Christians the excuse of ignorance. We can't give the excuse of ignorance to anybody who worships a false deity, because Allah said, I took you from the loins of Adam and I made you testify against yourselves, saying, am I not your one and only Lord? You said yes. Allah said, I did it so that on Judgment Day you can't use the excuse of ignorance. On Judgment Day you can't use the excuse of ignorance. Okay, I've been speaking for 2.5 hours. I'll stop here for today. Tomorrow we'll do the Murji'ah. We shall refute the Murji'ah. We have many, many deviant groups to refute. Everybody is PMing me to refute the Deobandis and the Tabligis. We'll refute the Murji'ah tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. Ahmed Shukri Mustafa was the person, the Khawarij of Egypt, who said that you're not allowed to drink the water from the tap. You're not allowed to drink the water from the tap. If you use the water from the tap to cook, you're a kafir, because that water that comes in the tap in your kitchen was provided by the Tawheed, which is apostate regime. You have to use the water from the well. So this person was a new Khawarij. A new Khawarij. In the UK, you have Abu Isa. Abu Isa, who called himself Abu Hammam or Abu Isa, Jamaat al-Muslimin. They are the neo Khawarij. They are the ones who make takfir on anybody who doesn't homeschool their kids. When I was in Belmarsh, I met Muslims who said that the Jamaat al-Muslimin, they made takfir on them. They made takfir on them because they instructed solicitors and barristers to speak on their behalf in court. So they said you shouldn't have instructed barristers, Jamaat al-Muslimin. This Jamaat al-Muslimin, they made a fortune from robbing from credit card fraud in the UK. They clean out banks like the Barclays Bank in the UK, credit card fraud. HSBC, credit card fraud. They clean out the banks in the UK with fraud. When they are arrested by Scotland Yard, they instruct barristers to defend them, Jamaat al-Muslimin. And they don't make takfir on themselves. Look how hypocritical they are. But when a person is arrested for terrorism charges, and he instructs barristers and solicitors to speak for him in court, they said, that's it, you're a kafir because you acknowledge the kafir court by instructing a solicitor, an attorney, to speak for you in court. They are hypocrites because they do credit card fraud. They clean out the banks in the UK with credit card fraud. Abu Isa, Abu Hammam. And when they get caught, they always instruct attorneys, solicitors, barristers to speak for them in court. And they don't make takfir on themselves. When a Muslim brother is arrested on terrorism charges and he has a barrister to speak for him in court, they said, you're a kafir because you instructed barristers to speak for you in court. You acknowledge the kafir court. That means you are a kafir. That is another extremism of the Khawarij. The only time you're allowed to make takfir on a person and said that he went to the kafir courthouse is if he shunned Sharia court and went to the kafir court. Then you can make takfir on him. He shunned Sharia court and said, I prefer the courthouse of man-made laws. I don't want Sharia, I want man-made laws. Then you can make takfir on him because he had a choice between Sharia court and man-made court, and he said, I prefer the man-made court, I don't want Sharia court. This man becomes a kafir, and he is like the man who bows down to idols because he shunned the Sharia court and went to the kafir court. And the evidence for this is Surah Nisa, verse 60. That whenever you shun the Sharia court and went to the kafir court, you become a kafir. What's the evidence? Nisa, Surah Nisa, verse 60. Allama Shinkaiti in his book Adwal Bayan, volume 7, page 162, said, whenever you go to the kafir courthouse for judgment and believe in them, you did shirk and you are like the man who bows down to idols. There is no difference between you and the man who bows down to idols. We will refute another group tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, shukran for bringing the evidence. Allama Shinkaiti, Adwal Bayan, volume 7, page 162. To commit shirk with Allah in judging is of the same meaning as to commit shirk in His worship. There is no difference between the two in the manner. There is no difference in any sense between he who follows a system other than the Sharia of Allah and the one who worships an idol, who prostrates to an idol false deity. Yes, this is the fatwa of Allama Shinkaiti in his book Adwa al-Bayan. To go to the kafir courthouse for judgment and shun the Sharia court and prefer the kafir courthouse, you are a mushrik and you are like the man who bows down to idols. It is important for you to acquaint yourself with these fatwas of these classical scholars because some of you have never heard about the book Adwa al-Bayan, and it is one of the best tafsir books in the Muslim world right now. You have never heard about Allama Shinkaiti and you have never heard about Adwa al-Bayan, even though it's one of the best tafsir books in the Muslim world right now. And this is the ijma of the scholars of the first deviant group to emerge in the Ummah, were the Khawarij. Now, many of you might think that these groups are no longer around, they have fallen into oblivion. This is not the case. They are around, they are alive and kicking, and they are in the UK. I don't know if they are in the USA, but they are in the UK as a group, Jamaatul Muslimin. They have a website. They believe if you are forced to be taken to the Kafir courthouse, the Kafirs arrested you and take you to court. If you appoint a solicitor to speak for you, even though the Kuffar kick your door down, arrested you and take you to court, if you appoint a solicitor, a barrister who is on duty, you're a kafir because you acknowledge the kafir courthouse. They believe if you stop at a traffic light, you're a kafir because you acknowledge the kafir law. This is absolutely ridiculous. If you stop at the red light, you're a kafir because you acknowledge the law of the Tawheed. The traffic light has nothing to do with Sharia. So you stop at the traffic light for maslaha. The key word is maslaha, public interest. Maslaha, public interest. So when you stop at the traffic light, it's for the sake of maslaha. So, how can you make takfir on Muslims who stop at the traffic light? That's the Khawarij. And if you have a passport, for example, you have a Saudi passport or a Pakistani passport, you're a kafir. You have a Saudi passport or Pakistani passport, an Egyptian passport or Jordanian passport, you're a kafir because when you apply for the passport, you acknowledge the Tawheed. The passport belongs to the Tawheed. So, how can you take out a passport, a Saudi passport or a Pakistani passport, when you know that these countries are Dar al Harb? So, they make takfir on people who have passports. Because when you took out the passport and you fill out the form and sign the form, you acknowledge the Tawheed. Because the passport was given to you by the Tawheed, so you're a kafir. They believe if you should download MSN, they believe that if you should download Yahoo Messenger, MSN, Skype, and you click on agree, when you click on agree, you're a kafir because you agree with conditions which were laid down by the Tawheed. And Ahmed Shukri Mustafa, who was in Egypt, said, if you drink the water from the tap, you're a kafir because the water was provided by the Tawheed. You have to drink the water from the well. But the water that comes into your kitchen from the tap, if you drink it, you become a kafir because it was provided by the Tawheed. If you download Yahoo Messenger or MSN and you click on agree, by you clicking on agree, you become a kafir. Because you agree to the Tawheed. That's the Aqidah of the Khawarij. And they are in the UK right now as I speak. If you have a soccer match and you appoint a person to be the referee, you have a soccer match, a football match, and somebody is the referee, you're a kafir because the referee is the judge and Allah is the only judge. That is the Aqidah. By you appointing a referee for this to officiate at the soccer match, you're a kafir because the referee is a judge and Allah is the one and only judge. If you have kids and you do not homeschool the kids, you're a kafir. If you send the kids to the state school, you're a kafir because they teach the kids that men came from monkeys and to be gay is normal. And if you send the kids to a Catholic school, you're a kafir because in the Catholic school they say that Jesus is God. So whether you send the kids to state school or the church school, you're still a kafir. You have to homeschool the kids. If you don't homeschool the kids, you're a kafir. If you expose the kids to the kafir syllabus, you're a kafir. They believe when you go to Mecca and Medina, it is haram to pray behind the imams there because Saudi Arabia is Dar al Harb. And because Saudi Arabia is Dar al Harb, when you go to Mecca and Medina, you have to pray in your hotel. If you pray behind the imams in Mecca and Medina, people like Sudais, you're a kafir because these imams are working for the Tawheed and Saudi Arabia is Dar al Harb. You have to pray in your hotel room. You cannot pray behind the imams there. That is their Aqidah. And some of them go as far as to say a debate took place between Imam Shafi and Ahmed ibn Hanbal about Salah. Imam Shafi said if you don't pray, you're still a Muslim. Ahmed ibn Hanbal said if you don't pray, you're a kafir. A Khawarij of today will tell you if I was present at the debate, if I was a spectator at the debate, I would have made takfir on Imam Shafi and Ahmed ibn Hanbal. I would have made takfir on Imam Shafi because Imam Shafi went against the ijma of the Sahabas by claiming if you don't pray, you're still a Muslim. The Sahaba said, if you don't pray, you're a kafir. So when Imam Shafi said, if you don't pray, you're still a Muslim, Imam Shafi went against the ijma of the Sahaba. So if I was present, I would have made takfir on Imam Shafi. And I would have made takfir on Ahmad ibn Hanbal as well, because Ahmad ibn Hanbal should have known better. And during the debate, he should have made takfir on Imam Shafi. So because Ahmad ibn Hanbal did not make takfir on Imam Shafi during the debate, I would have made takfir on Ahmad ibn Hanbal as well. This is how the Khawarij of today, this is how they speak. If you stop at the traffic light, you're a kafir because you acknowledge the law of the Tawheed, and you are only allowed to acknowledge Sharia law. Now, who told you that in Muslim countries they don't have traffic lights? And who told you that when Sharia comes, we are going to get rid of traffic light? When Sharia comes, we're not going to get rid of traffic light because it's called maslaha, public interest. And if you don't homeschool your kids, if you send them to the kafir schools, you're a kafir because you expose them to the syllabus of the Dajjal. So by you exposing them to the syllabus of the Dajjal, you did not homeschool your kids, you're a kafir. So all the parents, all the Muslim parents in Europe and America, they are kuffar. They would have made takfir on Imam Ahmad because he did not make takfir on Imam Shafi. Yes. First, they would have made takfir on Imam Shafi because Imam Shafi said, if you don't pray, you're still a Muslim. So Imam Shafi went against the ijma of the Sahabas. And they would have made takfir on Ahmad ibn Hanbal because Ahmad ibn Hanbal should have known better, and Ahmad ibn Hanbal should have made takfir on Imam Shafi during the debate. This is how the neo-Khawarij speaks. And they believe that when you download Yahoo Messenger, MSN, when you click agree, if you click agree when you download MSN, Yahoo Messenger, or Skype, you become a kafir because you went into a contract, an agreement with the Tawheed. And when you take out a passport like a Saudi passport or a Pakistani passport or Jordanian passport, you're a kafir because these passports were given to you by a Tawheed regime, an apostate regime. So by you taking out the passport of an apostate regime, or even an American passport or a British passport, you become a kafir because you are not supposed to acknowledge the regime of the kuffar. So how can you travel on their passport? So all the Muslims who are traveling on British passport, American passport, Pakistani passport, the Saudi passport, you are all kuffar because you acknowledge the Tawheed and you acknowledge the apostate regimes. Ahmad Shukri Mustafa, the man who tried to revive the Khawarij Aqidah, if you drink the water from the tap in the kitchen, you're a kafir because the water was provided by the Tawheed. You have to drink the water from the well. Yes. If you drink the water from the tap in your kitchen, you're a kafir, according to Ahmad Shukri Mustafa, because the water was provided by a Tawheed regime, an apostate regime. You have to go and fetch water from the well. So he makes Islam, he used Islam to strangle the Muslims. If you take out a British passport, an American passport, a Pakistani passport, a Saudi passport, you're a kafir because these are kafir regimes. These are apostate regimes. So by you taking out their passport, you acknowledge the regime, so you're a kafir. If you did not homeschool your kids, you send them to the kafir school, you're a kafir because you expose them to the syllabus of the Dajjal, a satanic syllabus, where they teach Darwinism and they teach to be gay is normal. That is their aqidah. If there is a soccer match, a football match, and you appoint a referee, you're a kafir because the referee is the judge and Allah is the one and only judge. So by you appointing the referee in the soccer match, you're a kafir because Allah is the judge and you acknowledge another judge beside Allah. If you get arrested and you appointed a solicitor to speak for you, a barrister to speak for you in the courthouse, you're a kafir because you acknowledge their courthouse and the only law you can, the only law you can accept is Sharia law. If you went to university to become a solicitor, when you went to university to train to become a solicitor, you're a kafir because you are trained to uphold the Sharia of Iblis, and the only Sharia you're allowed to uphold is the Islamic Sharia. So, all the solicitors, the attorneys in the UK and the USA, they are all kuffar. All the Muslim attorneys and solicitors, barristers in the UK and the USA, they are all kuffar because they are training to practice a law which is not Sharia, and the only law we accept is Sharia law. They believe when you go to Mecca for pilgrimage and you visit the city of Mecca and Medina, you are not allowed to pray behind. You cannot pray behind those who are there, the Imams, because they were appointed by the king, an apostate king. So when you pray behind these Imams, your salah is batil. You have to pray in your bedroom, in your hotel room. And some of them believe that Hajj has to be stopped. There should be no Hajj because Mecca has now become Dar al-Harb. They believe Mecca has now become Dar al-Harb, therefore Hajj should be stopped. So that is the Aqidah of the neo-Khawarij that is living in our midst today. Inshallah, I think I'll go now. Somebody PM me said that they want to speak to me about private matters, and it is late in the UK. They have to go to work tomorrow. I have to go. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.